so flat.
You know, those mufflers were still doing something.
Definitely were.
Those are still doing something. All right, everybody, it is time. We are going to turbo the truck. So we got it in the garage here. We're going to a twin turbo setup. We already got this new carb hat on. And we pulled off the mufflers, the inspection, where are the mufflers, right? And we're going to be putting some flanges on, rewelding some flanges on for the turbos. So we got to clean that stuff up, and we got to go get a couple studs, I think, for the flanges themselves so we can put everything in on there. But
they didn't come with studs for some reason.
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna run to the parts store and we'll get that stuff first, and then we'll just jump into kind of all the parts we have. We already talked through them in a previous video, but kind of go through everything we have and see how easily we can get 2 turbos on here.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, everybody. So I'm gonna start mocking everything up to get the flanges on. So I mean, a lot of this is gonna be time lapse, but if we run into something serious, I'll cut back in. But I'm gonna clean it up a little bit just to get a better weld. And then these are just gonna sit on there and hold our pretty little eBay turbos. Got them lined up the best I can. I tried to keep them straight with the valve cover. Really hard to do because the motor doesn't sit in here perfectly straight. It's a little bit cocked this way. I'm not 100% sure why I did that, but it's probably just how it sat originally in the Firebird when it come out of it, but it's fine. All right, I'll get into that and we'll see where we end up. Okay, so I'm gonna finish welding the where the fuck is it? Right there. I'm gonna finish welding the flange on these, and then I'm gonna grind the old ears off here, just to give it a little bit cleaner look. Of course, it's not gonna look great because we're using a flux core again. Somehow we downgraded. Really need to get a better welder, but we'll be all right. It'll work. It'll function. Just won't be pretty. But the truck's not pretty anyway, so who cares? The flanges welded on. The one thing I noticed is when I was trying to hook up the coolant temp sensor that I have, I tried to build, some contraption and it didn't work. Hot water just never got. Water got there, but no hot water ever got there, so I never knew what the temperature was. So this is the piece that reads it. This is the little adapter I have to have. So the strap piece, I'll show you in a second, hits on this, so the manifold can't sit all the way down. So I'm gonna notch the manifold to make it fit. It's just a strap piece. It's not going to affect anything. All this little strap thing is, I believe they do it to keep these tubes from cracking, the welds from cracking. I believe that's why they do it. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on it, but I made marks. They're a little bit wider than what they need to be. But I'm just going to notch down in there and hopefully be able to cut that out. If not, I'm going to have to grind it out with a grinding disc instead. But actually, I'll probably just grind it out. That probably makes more sense than, because I'm never going to be able to cut from there to there. So, alright, I'll get that going and I'll get back with you guys. So I got the manifold strap piece notched. It fits. I'm just waiting for, I gotta go get some manifold gaskets because the ones that I had were blown out. So that's all I'm waiting on, and then we can set the turbos down on the pedestals. Actually, I'm gonna cut the bolts and stuff while I'm waiting for the studs in the turbo, and then I'm gonna Loctite them in so it has time to dry, and then they should be ready for us to throw the turbos on.
Got ourselves a nice NASCAR thunderstorm over all the campers. Alright, so it's thundering out, storming pretty solid.
Sorry, NASCAR fans.
NASCAR fans are getting poured on. I recently learned once again the cost of home ownership, but I'm back out here in the garage and Eric's made some progress. We've got 2 turbos on this thing, you know, they're on there. Got everything welded for the headers, get those flanges on and everything good. So just kind of clocking them to get the feed and drain where we want it on the turbo, and just kind of checking out some exhaust stuff there. But you know, I think we're going to do some work on these obviously, but the rest of the stuff, I mean, pretty simple for what it was. Obviously we didn't go super high end, so we don't have, you know,
Symmetrical turbos.
a symmetrical setup here, so we're going to do a little finagling to get them clocked, and then kind of, you know, feeding into the inlet right. We're going to kind of play around with that and see, you know, how much of that's going to be solid, how much of that's going to be boot, which way we're going to clock the turbos. But I think for the most part they're on here, so that's going to be pretty, you know, just running.
We could start it and it would make spoolie noises.
It makes spoolie noises. Probably smoke a little bit. You know, as the shipping oil was the only thing lubricating them.
That's a fair point.
But yeah, so hopefully, you know, we can get the feed line and the drain lines run, and then really the feed and oil lines are like kind of in a way like the last step.
Well,
for most reality,
but
right?
We could oil them up now and just not hook them up. You know what I mean? It would just, the boost wouldn't be going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I mean,
We're
gonna
yeah.
get the oil hooked up either way.
Yeah. One way or another, even if it's not fully solid as a unit, like it, you know, there'll be a way to run the truck if we, you know, have to. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. We're just gonna clock these, and I think that's pretty much it for tonight. Or
I don't know. Let's see what. I mean, I don't think it'll take us long to run oil lines and stuff. We already got the fittings on. We already know where we're tapping into. The hardest part's the drains.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Going in the oil pan and have to pull that all off.
Yeah, I mean, we might not do the drains tonight. We might, you know, drain the oil, take the oil pan off, and clean it with some brake clean and let it sit overnight. That way, when we weld, it's not trying to catch on fire like the KA.
Yeah.
It caught on fire twice.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think we'll have it 90% done tonight. I mean, we got new spark plugs in it. I'm not sure if I got the spark plug wires back in the right spots or not.
They're labeled, aren't they?
They were, but I labeled them. I didn't label them by cylinder correctly. I just labeled them. I don't know why.
In order.
Because originally I labeled them just because I was going to take the intake off and re-silicone the backside. But oh well, you live and you learn.
Yep.
I'll get it figured out.
All right. Well, we'll jump back in the rest of this and let's see where we land for tonight. Alright guys, so working on kind of lining up all our intake bits that we got and playing around with what we can cut to make fit on here. The passenger side, when we have the kind of space that we have here, we're able to just make a simple 45 kind of pair in. This one's pretty easy, looks good. This one on the other hand, you know, we're kind of struggling to come up with a way to pair these together. You know, we're kind of working on it. It's just so close. It's either so close or so far away that you end up, you know, having to either like U it around or do something. But we're gonna see what we can do with that. All right, this is back out here for day 2. We got everything plumbed into the intake. Yesterday, kind of just worked through all the pipes that we had. I mean, it's a you know, it's a setup, but it works out, and we were able to keep them relatively short running in there. Just got back from Lowe's with a new O-ring for that turbo, since the one we had slipped off and got cut on the freaking turbine itself. And then just got some more stuff from Lowe's. We got some oil and stuff. We're gonna get the oil pan drilled and get the bungs welded to it for the drain lines, and then
do an actual oil change.
Do oil change. We'll get these cut down and welded up. I'm gonna move them in a little bit from the firewall, and then maybe try to make something here to kind of heat shield this stuff from the exhaust since it's so close. But we'll have to see what we can make with that. But yeah, getting there. Oh my god, dick! I slapped the bitch. Ay.
Timing's up.
Oh.
Very lean.
Dumping fuel. Dumping. Take 2 now that the fuel lines are hooked up. guys, so that is it for this one. Truck's running. We've been messing around with a bunch of fueling stuff in the background. We didn't really film any of it because it's just like
taking it apart,
putting it back together, taking it apart, putting it back together. But essentially, it was super lean, or showing up as super lean. I mean, it was lean. It was running lean.
I believe it's because of where the sensor is.
Yeah, so we've got the sensor before the turbos. I mean, that was the setup, obviously, beforehand. We're thinking we're going to need to block that off and get them up here on a pipe. Now, the welder we're using quit working. So the welder, it doesn't work. It's not feeding. So the problem is we can't weld our flanges onto the exhaust. This one just happens to be tight enough, but that one over there just fell off.
It's up on the windshield.
It's on the windshield there, but we need to be able to weld those on, and then we can go ahead and put our bungs up here so we can get an accurate reading, hopefully accurate reading for...
What we read on the internet is there's too much pressure before the turbos for it to actually read. It messes with the sensor for some reason.
Right.
Not exactly sure the science behind it, but that's just what other people say.
But yeah, so hopefully once we get that set up, we'll get, you know, some more accurate readings. We can mess around with Jerry more. But the final thing was, what'd you remove?
Power valve.
Which immediately made it super rich. And we're running, what are we doing right now for jets?
99.
99 for jets. We went all the way.
Yeah, we just put the biggest one in.
Yeah.
It was reading so lean.
But we're going to have to essentially, once we go out, we'll just have to work down there from... Let's just go down there and sizing with the jets and see where we get to a good mix. But yeah, we can't really do that with it not being driving or not being on the road and being able to kind of see the range that we get. And right now with it reading lean when it's clearly super rich, I mean, there's just nothing we can do other than gauge the color and smell. so that's, we're gonna end it off there, guys. Keep working on this thing and we'll hopefully have it wrapped up. But either way, we'll get one last shot, man. We're got twin turbos on this thing. It's gonna happen one day, but we got it there now. All right, say bye, Eric.
Adios.
See ya.